Alright, good afternoon everyone. I'm going to go over this week's problem of the week, which is license to launch. So I'll go over the problem, I'll go over the code, and that'll be the whole video. Alright, license to launch. Burke has made a new shiny rocket and just received his license from the Blue Sky Global Order. Dang. To launch anytime within the next N days. He is, however, worried that the rocket will hit space junk on its way. In order to minimize the risk of a collision, Burke has made a model of how many pieces of space junk there will be for each of the next N days. He has decided that he will launch his rocket on the day with the least space junk, and if there are multiple days with the same amount of space junk, he of course wants to send his rocket up as early as possible. Can you help Burke find out how many days he has to wait until he sends up his rocket? Input, on the first line there's an integer n, which is the number of days for which the launch license is valid. On the second line follows n integers. Okay, output, the number of days Burke needs to wait before he launches his rocket. Alright, so I mean, off the bat, you should be able to recognize what they're asking for, and basically they're asking for the minimum in this list. So the minimum, yeah, they're just asking for the minimum. It's a pretty simple problem. And then honestly, the first line is kind of useless. I didn't actually use it in my program. I just kind of have it there as something which accepts input, because you have to like take it somewhere. So yeah, I didn't really use the first line, and then I just found the minimum of the second line. So let's look at the code. So I do input formatting kind of by force of habit, but you honestly didn't need to do any input formatting because you never use n. And then I do items equals input.split, so that just puts it into a list. And I for loop, so I just go through each item in the list. And then, yes, I convert it to an integer because if you remember, the default list data type is a string. So I go through and I convert it to an integer. And then the output format, I just print out the index of the minimum of the list. So basically what this is doing is, first I find the minimum in the list, and then I find the index where that value is. So you can test some of this code. And yeah, that works out pretty well. Yeah, I mean, that's about it, really. It's a pretty simple problem. But I guess if you have questions on this, or questions on this week's problem, you can email me.